Today we're going to be taking a look at 75354 Coruscant Guard Gunship. This set will be releasing on September 1st with 1,083 pieces and a retail price of $140. Although my guy over at battlepacks.net was able to hook me up with this set early, he runs a subscription-based website where for the price of only $10 a month, you will have access to retired LEGO Star Wars sets for their original retail price. Yes, you heard me right, retired LEGO Star Wars sets for their original retail price, including sets like the UCS Slave 1, the AV-7 anti-vehicle cannon, and the Coruscant Police Gunship. There will be a limited number of sets dropping every month, and with the subscription, you will have access to buy them. The website also has LEGO Star Wars minifigure packs that drop monthly as well, which you can buy without the subscription, but with the subscription, you will get a discount. More information about all this in the description below, where I will leave a link to the Discord where you can ask questions, as well as a link to the website itself. Now back to the gunship itself, you can see that it does include 5 minifigures, that being Padme, Sheev Palpatine, 2 shock troopers, and then the long-awaited Commander Fox. Also taking a look at the front of the box here, you can see it has a really nice box art, or at least in my opinion it does. I think it just looks very bright and lively because of the Coruscant background, and taking a look at the back of the box, it's looking bright and lively as well, with a very minimalistic box art that showcases the model very well as all of the features. That is one thing that I have loved about the new LEGO Star Wars box arts from 2022 till now, is that on the back they are just very spacious and they showcase the model very well. Now digging into the box, on the inside you're going to find 10 numbered bags and your instruction manual in this very nice cardboard casing that keeps it from getting creased. LEGO typically does this on their bigger sets, and I really appreciate it because no one likes a creased instruction manual. And you will also find a sticker sheet as well with 5 stickers on it. Now taking a look at the instructions themselves, on the front you're going to have a very nice render of the set, and then from there on it will just be your standard LEGO building process, and then in the very back you'll have an image depicting what the set looks like when it's completed, as well as advertising for the other fall 2023 sets, including the Ghost and the Jedi Shuttle. And then on the very last 2 pages you'll have your piece inventory. And now moving on to the minifigures, first up here we have Padme Amidala. This is a very simple minifigure, yet it is very effective. There's no leg printing, but in this case I don't really think there needs to be leg printing, because with this specific outfit, I mean, I think leg printing would just be a little too much detail. And then on the back she has very minimal back printing, and you can also see here that she has a very nice double-sided face as well as a chrome colored blaster. Overall this is a very simple minifigure, yet I think it looks really good. And then next up here we have Sheev Palpatine, and I think this is a great looking minifigure, even though the printing is misaligned from the torso to the skirt piece, which is frustrating when you notice it, but it really isn't too noticeable. Then on the back here you can see that he has some pretty nice back printing and back printing on the skirt as well. You can see here that he also has a double-sided face, and I think it looks really good. I just think LEGO did an absolutely amazing job at representing his evil face here. And then moving on to the shock troopers, I think the printing all over the figure looks absolutely amazing. Shock troopers are some of the coolest looking clones to me, and I just think LEGO did an absolutely amazing job here with the printing. Although as much as I hate to talk about this, those helmet holes are still there, and it just makes the helmet shape look kind of unappealing, especially when you're looking at it straight on. I mean, it just kind of ruins the helmet. But I do have to say, out of all the clones that have the new helmet holes, I think these ones are by far the best, just because they're shock troopers and the printing looks really cool. And as you can see here, you do get 2 of them in this set. And then last, and actually maybe least, we have the long-awaited Commander Fox minifigure. As many of you know, fans have been wanting LEGO to make this figure for over a decade at this point, and then they finally did it, and I do not think they executed it very well at all. The first thing I want to point out is that the printing on the chest that is supposed to be white has a very noticeable pink tint to it, and it really throws off the color balance and just looks plain ugly in my opinion. And then also obviously on the legs you have the printed waist cape, which is those 2 gray lines on the side that are kind of even hard to even make out as a waist cape. At a fast glance they kind of just looked like extra detail on his legs, and honestly I think he would have looked way better if they would have just left the printed waist cape off. If they're not going to have a physical waist cape, just give him normal legs. And then you can see the pink tint continues around to his back printing, as you can see it there in his belt, and also it continues to his helmet. And not to mention, there is just not enough white in general on his helmet. First of all, the line that is going down the middle of his helmet should be much wider, and there also should be some more white around the sides where his helmet holes are. So they left off a lot of white detail around his helmet, making his helmet overwhelmingly red. And then on top of that, the white parts that they did put on there have a pink tint to them. So overall, I'll just go ahead and say I think this figure is flat out ugly. As much as I hate to say, because I think shock troopers look so cool and Commander Fox is one of my favorite commanders, LEGO just made a pretty ugly figure. Although one good thing I do have to say is that his blasters are really cool. Now this minifigure lineup is really good except for Commander Fox. I mean, I'm glad that LEGO finally made him. It is just they did not execute execute him well at all. But besides him, the rest of the minifigures are great. On the clone troopers minus the helmet holes, the printing is absolutely incredible, and the white and red just looks so nice together. And then like I said, Padme and Palpatine look great as well, with Palpatine probably being my favorite figure in this set just because of how cool that angry face looks, and then the shock troopers right behind him. I saw online where people were complaining that this set doesn't include any pilots, but I actually don't really see a problem with that because in the Mandalorian, in the Grogu's escape scene, we actually do see shock troopers flying this gunship. So honestly, I'm fine with LEGO not including pilots in this set because it is accurate to some source material. Now moving on to the actual model itself, there is a lot to go over here. First off, on the front, you can lift up the windshield pieces to reveal a cockpit with a pretty simple interior with just a little printed control panel in there. And then right behind the cockpits, there are these little stickers on the cheese slopes that have the Republic symbol on them, and I just think this is absolutely ridiculous. Big stickers don't bother me that much because they're easier to put on, but stickers that are this small are just absolutely ridiculous to me. As you can see here, I didn't put it on straight at all just because it's so small and I have relatively big hands, but I am glad that LEGO thought of adding that detail. I just think it should have been a printed piece because these were really hard to put on. And then obviously you could load both your clone troopers in there, and it looks pretty cool, although I do have to say they are pretty crammed in there. When they sit straight up, their helmets almost touch the top of the cockpit, and also it makes the overall proportions of the whole build look a little bit off, as the actual gunship itself doesn't really make the figures in the cockpit look small like the other ones did. They actually just look like they're just slightly too big to fit in there, and it doesn't look bad in any means. I just don't think it looks as good as it could. And then down here on the front, obviously there are the ball turrets that you can move in any which way you want, and there's also the white part in the front here, and I don't think they made this as accurate as they could have, as on the actual Coruscant Guard gunship, the white actually goes down back behind the ball turrets. So I think if LEGO added a little bit more white right here, it would have made the front of the gunship look a little bit better, but I still think they did a pretty good job. Although when you are looking at the gunship directly from the front, you can see the front doors right here stick out pretty far, and they make for some noticeably sharp edges and a pretty large gap right there. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that looks very good at all, especially when you're looking at it dead on from the front. But speaking of these doors, there is a big Republic sticker right there, which I think looks pretty good, and then you can lift them up on either side, although I honestly don't even really know what these doors are even for, as they're too big to put blasters in, but they're also too small to put minifigures in there, unless you like lay the minifigure down or something, which is just kind of weird. I feel like this would have been a cool place for maybe a speeder to fit inside of the gunship, although since they didn't include a speeder, I honestly think these doors are just kind of unnecessary. I wish LEGO would have just brick built this section and kind of found a way to smooth out the gap that is caused by these doors. And then onto the big doors, as you can see here, they open very smoothly. That is because there is this nice little lever on the back of here, and if you just push it inwards, it will open the door, and I think that is an amazing feature. And then on the inside, there is a lot of room in terms of surface area, although it's not very tall, so it's hard to get your fingers in there, and also the door does not go all the way back, so therefore a large part of the interior is covered up by the door even when it is completely open. And as you can see here, it is pretty hard to put a second figure back there. So as you can see here, it is easier to put the figures side by side rather than putting them in front and behind each other. And also on the outside of the doors here, there are these stripes, and I think they look absolutely incredible. LEGO did an absolutely amazing job with the exterior of this model, and I think these stripes on the doors is where that shines the most. And then moving on to the very back here, there is a door with a little Republic sticker down at the bottom left, which actually is accurate as the Coruscant gunships do have a Republic symbol on the bottom left of the back. And then the door can open up to reveal more interior space, although the space really isn't much more room to add any more figures. Again, I think this would have been another great place for a speeder to fit inside the gunship, but no, there is just more space back here that is pretty hard to access and get your fingers into. And then on the top here, there is a back turret that can move in any direction, and I think that is a really cool feature. And then also right next to that turret on either side, you're going to have some storage bins that you can use to hold the clone troopers blasters when they are piloting the gunship. And then moving up the back onto the very top where the missiles would be, there is just black pieces to kind of represent that there is sort of a hole there. And then I think LEGO did a really good job on the laser cannons on the very top. I think they blended the white and the red very nicely. And then moving on down the wing here, I think there needs to be more white along the wing, as on the actual Coruscant Guard gunship, the white goes about halfway down the wing, and then on the LEGO set, it only goes about a third of the way down. So I think there should be a little bit more white on the wings, and then on the ends of the wings, you have those stud shooters when there should very clearly be ball turrets there. I mean, you can fire the stud shooters and they are fun to play with and whatever, but I would much rather have a dome-shaped ball turret right here. You can actually see that LEGO attempted to make a dome shape on the top and the bottom with the slope pieces, but it just doesn't look that good. They should have just used a normal dome. And then on the top here, there is a handle that sticks out that you can grab, and I think it looks a bit odd. It actually leaves a pretty big gap right there, but regardless, you can use it to pick up your gunship, and it is very sturdy as you can see here, and you can fly it around as you please. Now, what are my final thoughts on this set? set? Well, first off, I think the minifigures are very solid except for that Commander Fox figure. That is just a huge disappointment. Also, in regarding the model itself, I think they did a great job with the exterior of it. There are a few places where there should be some more white pieces, and then there's those two doors on the front that stick out really far that I wish were just brick built to go ahead and make the front half of the ship more smooth. But overall, I think the exterior looks very good from certain angles and is very visually pleasing. And then the functionality is pretty 50-50. Like I said, it is pretty hard to access the room on the inside, and there is also a lot of empty space, where again, I think LEGO should have included a speeder. I think if there is a side speeder for Commander Fox that could fit inside the gunship, it would add for a lot of playability, and it would definitely make this set feel like it's more worth the money, because as of now, this doesn't really feel like a $140 set to me. I really think that if they included a speeder, it definitely would have made up for the price a little bit. So overall, I'm going to give this set a very generous 8 out of 10. At first, I was thinking about giving it a 7.5 out of 10, but after working on this review and looking at the set in depth, I've decided to give it an 8 out of 10 and bump it up the extra 0.5 points. Let me know what you guys think about this set down in the comments below, and if you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the end screen right now.